So right now, 53% of homes are selling under asking price, but 15 minutes down the road and homes are still getting multiple offers. I've been in real estate for the last 8 years, and today I'm breaking down the 5 coldest and the 5 hottest markets so you know exactly where you have leverage. And by the end, you'll know where you can negotiate and where you might get crushed if you're not prepared. Alright, so first let me explain the split market across San Diego County. We're sitting right around 2 months of inventory, which technically is still a seller's market, but that's hiding some massive differences across the county. And one thing that I want to clear up is that the San Diego housing market isn't the same everywhere. It's actually a collection of micro markets, and you gotta understand which one you're in because it's gonna determine almost everything about your strategy. Now, the median home price across San Diego was essentially flat at $880,000, but that number really only tells you what's happening on average. And when we get into the hot markets, I'll show you exactly why certain pockets are still moving fast, so definitely stay tuned for that part. Now, some areas around here are facing real price pressure, and if you think about it this way, when inventory is under 3 months, then sellers have way more leverage. And when inventory is over 5 to 6 months, well, then buyers can negotiate a lot more at that point. And right now, we kind of have both of these conditions happening at the same time, which really surprises a lot of people. But just a quick note before we move on, if you're trying to figure out which one of these markets you're actually in, or maybe you're moving to San Diego and need someone with kind of boots on the ground who can tell you where you have leverage and where you don't, well, that's exactly what I do every day. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out. And if you'd like some more help, you can click on the link in the description, or you can just call, email, or text me. Alright, now let's talk about the 5 coldest markets around San Diego, and these are places where buyers have the real upper hand. We're talking about higher inventory, longer days on market, and some real price resistance. So let's start with cold market number 5, which is Escondido. Now, days on market is over 40 days here, and the amount of listings on the market is starting to creep up, so buyers have a lot more options. And when they have more options, they want to feel like they're getting a great deal. They're also pushing for lots of seller incentives right now, and they'll just walk away if they don't get them. So credits for closing costs, price reductions, or maybe even asking the seller to make a bunch of repairs. Now, another challenge for resale sellers is that you're competing directly with new construction homes, and builders can offer a lot of great things to buyers. So closing cost help, mortgage rate buy downs, and that's kind of a tough sell when your home isn't priced aggressively. Now, the strategy for buyers looking at Escondido is to definitely negotiate hard. So ask for help with closing costs or make offers on listings that are 40 plus days old, because that's where you're gonna find the most flexibility. And for sellers, you have to be realistic. I mean, look, if you're trying to price it like it's peak 2022, then you're gonna watch your listing sit on the market, and that's not something that you wanna see. Alright, that brings us to an even colder area, which is Vista. The average market time is about 45 days here, and we've got 3 months of inventory. That's about 30% higher compared to last year. So the median price was around $845,000 last month, and look, buyers are way more price sensitive in these areas, so payment shock is real. So when you add up your mortgage, property taxes, and insurance, you're looking at a high monthly payment, and this is going to be even more critical when we look at the condo market later on, so make sure you stay with me for that, because what you're going to learn even surprised me. But if you're selling in Vista, you need to be competitive with the price, and make sure you're realistic with the condition of your house. If it's not move-in ready, then you're probably not going to get full price. A lot of buyers want something move-in ready, and they don't want to pay top dollar for a house and then have to spend thousands in renovation. Alright, cold market number 3 is Fallbrook. Now, I think insurance issues are taking a massive toll on the housing market in Fallbrook. Buyers are looking at hundreds of dollars more for insurance, and that adds up for most people. So you can basically call this an insurance tax, and it's really turning off a lot of buyers. And look, housing prices are usually lower around here, but the high price of insurance and the wildfire risks might not be worth it. Also, a lot of workplaces are tightening their return to office policies, and Fallbrook's distance is more of a liability now. So if you have to be in the office 3 to 4 days a week, the 60-minute commute is a tough sell. Now, there's about 4 months of inventory. Average days on market is up to 53 days, and 28% of listings get a price reduction before they sell. And that brings us to cold market number 2, which is Chula Vista, and more specifically, new construction. So Otay Ranch is one of the few places in San Diego County where land is still being developed at a massive scale. Thousands of new units are coming online in 2026, and this creates what we call shadow inventory. This is when resale homeowners try to sell their 20 or 30-year-old houses, and they're competing directly with brand new construction. Builders can offer huge incentives like interest rate buy downs, or they pay for buyers' closing costs or even HOA fees, and that's a huge challenge for resale sellers. Most buyers are expecting some kind of incentives now, and most sellers can't compete with that, so they're really in a tough spot right now. And look, we definitely need all the inventory we can get, but if you own a property nearby, it's usually going to be harder to sell. Now, if you're selling your house here, you have to be realistic. I mean, if you're overpriced, you're going to watch your listing get stale while buyers tour the new construction down the street. And condition matters more than ever in these heavy new build areas, so you got to do whatever you can to make sure your home shows well. All right, that brings us to cold market number 1, which is downtown San Diego. There were only 19 sales here in January, and most of these buildings have HOA fees between $700 to $1,200 a month or even more. And people just don't think it's worth it at this point. So if we do the math on a 2-bedroom condo around $1 million with a $1,200 a month HOA fee, you're at about $7,200 a month. You can get a 3-bedroom house with a yard for the same monthly payment. So that's exactly what's killing the downtown condo market. You got high HOA fees, plus with today's mortgage rates, you can get in a house in an established neighborhood for a similar monthly payment. I mean, look, the walkability, the live-work lifestyle of downtown is still a big draw for certain buyers, but the high costs are causing a lot of people to hesitate, so that turns into longer market times, a lot more price negotiations, and way more inventory. So it's really not looking good for downtown San Diego. All right, so let's switch gears and let's move on to the 5 hottest markets around San Diego. Now, these are areas where inventory is tight, demand is still strong, and well-priced homes move quickly. So if you're a buyer targeting these areas, you need to be ready to move fast and definitely make a competitive offer. All right, let's start off with hot market number 5, which is Bay Ho and Bay Park. So this area has a median sales price of around 1.5 million with homes selling in just under 30 days. So not 40, not 50, it's under 30 days here. And any house that's priced under that 1.5 million mark, I'm actually seeing those sell even faster than that. So the appeal here is of course the location, the lifestyle, the walkability, and just the proximity to all the business centers. And that's really what's driving the demand here. Most of these homes were built back in the 50s and 60s, so you actually have a ton of value add opportunities. So buyers are opening up floor plans, they're adding square footage, building decks, and all this is pushing prices up. Now, if you look at nearby neighborhoods like, let's say La Jolla or even Pacific Beach, I mean, you're getting a big discount around here. Those places are both hundreds of thousands of dollars more expensive for even a similar type of house. And I'm getting a lot of people asking about this place, so if this is one of the spots you're considering moving to, you can always call, email, or text me and we can talk more about it or any other area here in San Diego. All right, so for hot market number 4, I'm going with South Oceanside and Fire Mountain. So when someone tells me they want to live in coastal North County and their budget's from around 1.3 to 1.8, this is one of the first places I'll recommend. And look, I know it probably seems expensive, but compared to Carlsbad or Encinitas, which are right next door, you actually get a lot more house for your money in Oceanside. So right now we're at 22 days on market, and definitely be prepared for some competition. But South Oceanside's one of my favorite places in North County. I just love how it's only a few minutes from the coast and it still has a small town beach vibe to it. You're also right on the edge of Carlsbad, so you get super easy access to all of their amenities. It's also a great place for young families, and a lot of people that ask about this area are usually new families because it's just an easier coastal market to get into, so there's definitely more of that younger crowd moving here. All right, hot market number 3 is San Marcos, but I'm gonna focus more on West San Marcos. So one of the biggest appeals of the west side is that you're right on the border of Carlsbad, but you're not paying Carlsbad prices. So if you want coastal proximity, good schools, and maybe a little bit more yard space, then you'll easily save a few $100,000 buying in San Marcos. Now, days on market is just about 30, and median price for a detached house, you're looking at about 1.4 million. And I actually had a buyer who just beat out 18 other offers on a house here, and we actually negotiated the price down by $100,000, so they were really happy about that. But what's actually driving the demand here? Well, a big reason is the school system. It's ranked the 5th best in San Diego, and San Marcos High School has an A rating. Now, Lake San Marcos is what's really driving up home prices. So of course, you've got the lake, there's 2 golf courses, restaurants, hiking trails, and people just love the laid back lifestyle. And a lot of these houses are slowly getting upgraded, especially because most of the homeowners were older before, but now it's way more families moving in. And that brings us to hot market number 2, which is Mission Hills. Here we're looking at 25 days on market, which is one of the lowest in San Diego. So Mission Hills is basically the gold standard for walkability. There's lots of little restaurants, coffee shops, and the proximity to downtown is a huge plus. And look, for someone who wants to be in a more urban environment, Mission Hills is hard to beat, especially when it comes to safety. Beni. But if you love historic homes, then you absolutely have to look here. They don't have any tract homes, and some of these have the most amazing views of the bay. There's also no land left to build on, so you're not gonna see these giant apartment complexes popping up here. Alright, so that brings us to hot market number 1, which is Carmel Valley. So if you tell me you want the absolute best schools in San Diego, then this has to be it. Canyon Crest is the 6th best high school in California, and Pacific Trails Middle School is the 11th best. And what's wild is that all the homes around here command a 10 to 20% premium. Now, Del Mar is another great place for schools, but it's almost $700,000 more expensive. So we're at 24 days on market in Carmel Valley. The median price is right about $2.5 million and 2 months of inventory. But I really think that Carmel Valley is one of the best locations in San Diego. There's thousands of high-paying jobs in Sorrento Valley and Torrey Pines, and the buyer pool here is all high-earning professionals. They all want the big new house and their kids going to the best schools, and I gotta say, there's really no other place in San Diego that has this. Okay, so now that you understand the market landscape, here's what you can actually do with all this information. Alright, so your strategy depends a lot on which type of market you're in. I mean, if you're buying in a hot market, you want to be pre-approved and ready to move quickly. Don't expect massive discounts on the best homes, but you can definitely still be flexible on your terms and contingencies. Just don't expect a lowball offer to get accepted. And focus on getting the right house in the right pocket instead of trying to time everything perfectly. Now, if you're buying in a cold market, you can definitely negotiate way harder. You can push for help with closing costs, rate buy downs, or even some repair credits. You can also look at stale listings that are just sitting on the market, and that's actually where you're gonna find the most flexibility. So if you're trying to figure out whether you're in one of the hot areas or one of the cold ones, or maybe you're moving here from out of state and you need some real boots on the ground expertise, then go ahead and contact me. I'll help make it all a super smooth move out here. All my information's on the screen or below in the description. And if you found this breakdown helpful, check out the video where I ranked a bunch of San Diego neighborhoods from worst to best, or just check out my channel for lots of other videos. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.